Hello, my fellow broke aristocrats. How are you today? And a happy tea time to you. We are back doing our tea time, and you can see the boxes behind me. I'm getting ready to move from this location. I have not told Mila yet, but you can be sure that she has explored every single box and they do meet with her approval. And then she becomes very upset when I kick her out of a box and fill it with books. So that is what is going on there. So a little bit about the tea I've chosen today. It is very affordable. I think I paid $2.99 for 40 tea bags. So if you take $2.99 and you divide it by 40, which I can't be bothered to do, I think it's about 10 cents approximately per tea bag. And you can get a couple cups from that. So we're talking about a very affordable tea. Correct me if I did the math wrong. I'm thinking $2.99 divided by 40, whatever. Okay, so it's berries tea, gold blend. This is an Irish blend. I think it tastes as good as PG Tips. It comes in bags similar to PG Tips. It's delicious. It's really, really good tea. I just grabbed it because I was in the tea aisle, and of course, being a broke aristocrat, I wanted to get something affordable. And I said, I'll give it a whirl, 40 for $2.99. I'm gonna buy this again. This is good stuff. So I'm promoting a cheap, good tea. All right, so before we get on to our topic, because I know everybody's gonna want to talk about it, I'm gonna take my tea, which as you can see has a little bit of low-fat milk and some coconut. I got to do my coconut sugar, just a little, from Trader Joe's, not expensive. And I'm so glad that the milk is not sour, because the refrigerator was unplugged for quite a while, and I found out the hard way. I was cleaning I opened the fridge and it's like, it's not on. But anyway, the milk was okay. So today we're talking about a subject that came up on another frugal channel. Be sure and check them out if you haven't yet. So shout out to Living on a Dime. I am an amateur, they are the experts. So if you want to really learn what it means to be frugal and to live the good life without breaking the bank, I strongly encourage you to check out Living on a Dime. They are the bomb. So they were talking, I think it was a week or two ago, about the importance of not having a budget at all. Just get rid of budgets, because we have low compliance. People give up on them. They get overwhelmed. This so meets with my reality, because I am a broke aristocrat. I'm spoiled. I'm not frugal by nature. I hate being frugal. I like going out with friends, having the good life, and so I fight against frugality. And while budgets can be very empowering, it's very difficult for me to stick with them. So you got to do what you got to do, and that's just going to be different for everybody. I'm just looking at my own budget now. But the basic idea that Living on a Dime was presenting was this idea that when we create a budget for ourselves, we inevitably will break the budget. An example would be that you only give yourself, you allot yourself a certain amount of money for your groceries, and then you think everything's going fine, and then you find out, oh, I forgot the salt, oh, I forgot the hot sauce, oh, and then you got to go back to the store, and then you get upset with yourself, oh, I broke my budget again, and then you beat yourself up, and then you get depressed. You have negative feedback loop, right? Well, I'm a failure at budgeting, and then you throw out the budget. And so the argument that Living on a Dime was making, and I think it's a relevant one, is that people should instead focus on just not spending money. Stop spending money and only purchase things when you absolutely need them. Live dramatically below your means, and if you need to go get hot sauce, go get some affordable hot sauce or whatever else you need, and create frugal meals, a frugal good life, and throw out the budgets. Don't spend money unless you have to. An example would be, well, I've got $50 allotted this week for my groceries, or $100 if you have have a family, and then you create a beautiful menu plan, etc., and then you spend that $100 and then afterwards realize you've got to go back. So that would be an example of one of the risk factors, one of the things that's going to happen to you if you budget. If you're strict about your budget and you say, okay, I've got my envelopes, you're doing everything right. The argument, they can correct me if I'm mistaken, but I think what they were saying, what I was hearing, is that it's a system that's set up to fail. You will always fail because there will always be mistakes made, because there will always be those situations where you're going to have to break your budget. An example would be my own budget, which I'm going to go ahead and show you an example of my budget. You can't see it very well, but this is my budget, and I want to show you my total so far, and it's rising. $7,065 and rising. Okay, so what did I budget for? Not $7,000, you can be sure. So as you know, I've got an emergency move, and as you know, I had an emergency fund of approximately $5,000, and that I had broken away from the Dave Ramsey program because when I started step 2, I saved my $1,000, and then I began step 2, paying off my credit cards. I was credit card debt last year, credit card debt free. My student loans, I'm going through a forgiveness program because I'm building a nonprofit organization per request by feds, etc., that I'll be doing here in LA. So that also will be, that's dealt with. But when all of that was going on, and all the stuff is still going on, before I paid off that debt, I still added to my emergency fund because I knew my particular situation in LA, that when Murphy called, it was going to be more than $1,000. The number one most likely for me would have been emergency medical or emergency homelessness. And Murphy called. For those of you who haven't been catching up, the plumbing exploded in the house where I rent a room, and I've got to get out ASAP, and so etc., etc., etc. I used my emergency fund. There you go. So when those things happen, you're going to be, that's an example of how you're gonna bust your budget. Forgetting something and then busting your budget when it comes to your groceries. Groceries are car repairs. If you didn't budget enough in your sinking fund, people say, well, yeah, doc, but I have a sinking fund. You do have a sinking fund, but sometimes we even go above and beyond our sinking fund. Those are some of the risk factors for why budgets, sticking 100% to a budget, always comes with a fail rate. And it doesn't mean you're a bad person, and it doesn't mean you should give up or anything like that. So their argument was only purchase what you need when you need it. And maybe in the beginning, you may need to know how much money is required for your 4 walls approximately, but then put the budget aside. I think that's an interesting idea. What I have tried to do instead is I'm kind of doing a hybrid system. I'm kind of doing a hybrid system in the sense that I have a rough idea of my budget every month. I have a rough idea of what's going to happen, and I monitor it, and I never assume it's going to be precisely right, because look what happened, well, $5,000 above what I had budgeted for. So I chose to do a hybrid. What that means for me is that every month I like to go over my budget. I like to have a really good idea of what I need to make in order to meet my goals. And then I leave it alone, and then I only purchase what I need when I need it. And then once a week, I go back to my budget and I see how I'm doing. And if I see a consistent problem between what I had anticipated versus what I'm actually spending, then I reassess my budget. And I usually do that kind of an account and a reckoning of my budget once or twice a month. About once or twice a month, I really do a thorough look of my budget and say, okay, here is what I anticipated, and here is where I need to change things up. Because I'm moving to a more expensive apartment, I now have to completely reassess my budget, and I've started to get rid of things. An example of where you have to tweak your budget is if, say, for example, your rent goes up. Your rent is going to go up, if you're renting, whether it's moving like I did or just the natural consequences of living anywhere. Rent goes up, you're going to have to readjust your budget. So then you just have to go back and reassess everything. I'm getting rid of stuff that I don't need. Hulu Live, I don't have a TV, I don't have cable, so instead I got Hulu Live. I just canceled Hulu Live. That saves me $32. So I'm just going to go through everything when I do the end of the month account of a reckoning and try and see where I can start slashing my budget so that I can make up for the added rent, because my four walls, the cost of my four walls, those expenses have gone up. Now it means that my luxury items have to start being slashed for me to stay on budget. So I just wanted to have this conversation and get people's opinion who are here having a tea time with me. And do you have a budget? Have you given up on budgets? How do you feel about that? And or do you think that maybe starting with a rough idea of how things cost and then getting rid of the budget is a good idea? Or are you meticulous? Are you somebody who does an account and a reckoning every day on your budget? I really want to hear what's working for you. And maybe we can share ideas so that we can live the good life without breaking the bank. All right, thanks for watching, everybody. I'm so excited. In the coming weeks, we're going to be doing videos on nutrient-dense food on a budget, because I now have a kitchen and I'm going to get some lighting and we're going to cook together. Won't that be fun? All right, thanks for watching, everyone. Be sure and share, like, subscribe. You know my motto. And tell me what you are doing to take care of yourself without breaking the bank. Stay strong, everyone. Bye.